Alright, welcome to another video. This year I'm basically just going to go through and show off kind of the AI setup that we've been setting up. We're trying to launch into a period of a bit of content creation, so we've really been trying to finalize a bunch of the systems that we can then use to go on and make dungeons, make battles, and some cooler experiences like that. So basically we want to make it as easy to use as possible. So over here in the content browser, if we just drag and drop one of our little warriors out into the field, rotate him around, come back just a little bit. So pick his team, and for starters, so we've got this bull here, should wander when purposeless. Not quite as philosophical as it sounds. Basically just when he doesn't have an order issued, he'll just wander around. So he basically just delays for a random period of time and then walks to a random point kind of nearby on the nav mesh. So nice and easy behavior just to kind of be able to dump a minion in and have them wander around. So he'll just pick a new random point, keep wandering around, and you can easily drag and drop a whole bunch of minions out and just have them kind of wander like that. And obviously we've still got the sensing in, so if we get kind of within his line of sight and his range, there he is, so he's picked me up and gonna come and wail on me. So without that set, pretty obviously he will just stay where he was rather than wandering, so a bit more useful if you actually want him to guard a point or something like that, or within kind of tight corridors of a cave. The wandering might get a little funny with the path finding around some of the pillars and stuff. I've mocked up just a little box here, so he will actually, he'll try and get to me, but if I kind of come somewhere he can't see, if he hasn't seen his target in 5 seconds, he'll consider it lost, and he'll kind of go back to whatever it was he was doing before. So that's hopefully about 5 seconds. Yep, and there he is. So he's running back to where he came from. Here's kind of the last point that he randomly picked. And, oh no, sorry, this one isn't randomly walking, so he'll just go back there. But notice he's now facing the wrong way, because he will just go back to facing whoever he was, basically the angle that he ran there at. So that kind of is all you can do with dumping the minion in the level, but it brings us to our patrol point system. So as a slightly more elaborate setup, I'm going to put a patrol point here, and then kind of a target point out here. And so the target point is actually just for a direction to face for the patrol point. So the patrol point, at the moment we're just going to have none for the next patrol point, we'll get to that later. And focus target, we're just going to say here. So now when a minion is told to move to this point, when he gets to this point, he'll look at that point. It's kind of its focus point. We've got that arrow there pointing which direction we want them to face when they're at that point, just as a little visual aid. Again, trying to set up some designer tools that makes this easy to use. So we come over to the minion, come down to our initial patrol point, set that as our initial patrol point. And so now when we play, so he'll walk to his patrol point and he faces that direction. Now if he gets a whiff of me, which he will about here, some of the archers saw me as well. Hopefully they don't kill him. Yep, so he'll chase me. I'll pop up here and hide again. Wait for about 5 seconds until he's certain that I'm gone. And now he's running back to his point, and this time, because he does have that point, and it does have its target point, he turns around to face, oh, oops, I got a debug print in there. But he turns back around to face the thing. So that's kind of your really simple setup for guarding a point. You know, he's very actively, I can run away and escape him, but he's very actively guarding that point and he'll face that direction. So, let me just really quickly take that print out just because it's just there. So our next system is multiple patrol points, so that's good for that. But just to kind of make this a touch more elaborate, these back here, we'll drag out some more patrol points. And so now we're going to use this next patrol point. So next patrol point, him, next patrol point, him, and his next patrol point is him. And when it's a completed circuit, the arrows go green. So this is now a nice little patrol route, and you can kind of move these, you know, wherever you want. And these patrol routes can be, you know, as many nodes in them as you want. At the moment, this is just kind of a simple 3. So here we're going to go, you know, delay 2 seconds there, don't delay at all here, And then maybe here we'll wait for 3 seconds, and we want to face this direction. So we'll grab him and make his focus target out there. So you got the blue arrow pointing to the focus target and the green arrow pointing to where the next patrol point is. So if I drag him kind of back here, and we'll start his patrol route there. So yeah, sorry, the delay at patrol point, again, is another feature, so you can have them, rather than just walking in kind of like a really cyclic loop, they'll kind of get to the point, stop, face a certain direction, then move on to the next point. If you leave the amount at 0, they will just walk through the point to the next point. So we'll get to see that here. Hopefully stay out of range, but he'll get to that point. Remember, we put the focus point facing that way, so he waited for a couple of seconds there, then turns around nicely, and the smooth rotation on the turnaround is kind of nice as well. So he'll walk to that point, which I think I set the delay to 0 on, so he'll just hit that point and keep... no, actually, sorry, this one's the one where he faces forward for 2 seconds. And then he'll turn around walking to that back point, which had the delay of 0, so he should just touch that, immediately turn around and pick up his next point. So, yeah, that's the one. So he got to that point, there was no delay, so he turned, kept wandering that to the next point. So, I mean, ultimately that is the gist of our AI system. So with those tools, we should be able to set up pretty much everything we want. I'm going to annoy all the archers here, but I can kind of sneak up around behind him and, you know, stab him in the back or something like that. I guess the only other feature I didn't show there was, if we just delete these for a second, yes, things are referencing it, yes, that's okay. If we have this point here, and it doesn't have an next patrol point, so if it is kind of the only point, as another function of the guard, I can so have him have his initial patrol point to here. And this is kind of the second use of this radius. You keep this point radius really nice and tight when you want them to walk to that point. We don't really mind if they're kind of just generally within the point. We can set this to maybe like 1,000, so he'll pick a random point within 1,000 of that point, and that's where he'll walk to. Which is handy if you're going to have a lot of people piled into the same point so they don't quite get in each other's way. But I'm actually just going to clear his focus point and set him to should wander. And what should happen now is that he has that target point, but I'm just going to back out of his line of sight. So he has that target point, and he'll wander around within 1,000 of that point. 1,000 might be a bit big, he'll be walking for a while. Also, the walking to running transition all syncs up nicely. You know, he runs when he gets set on fire, and he runs when he has an attack target, but otherwise he kind of strolls from point to point, gives it a much more realistic feel. So he's just wandering around, but since he has that point, as opposed to the random walking when he doesn't have a point, he picks a random point within, centered on himself, so he can kind of wander off over time. This time he's picking it within that point, so he'll never actually go too far away from that point. He'll always be walking around that point. So that's nice for guarding a specific location. If there's a thing you need to capture as the player, he kind of wanders around for that. And then if we set this with a focus target again and leave those other settings the same, is going to be the exact same thing. So he's still going to pick a random location, but this time, each time he gets to his point within 1,000 of that guard point, he's going to face that focus location. So it'll probably look a little funny here because he might walk past it. Let's just wait for him to stop. So he'll get to, yeah, so his target location, since his focus point is kind of there, he basically turns a 180 and looks at it. But this is much more useful if you kind of consider that if you want him to patrol in a hallway, but always be facing the door or something like that. So we can basically do this, because that focus point doesn't matter where it is. So now that that's further away, obviously, when he gets to that point, he'll always look towards, because I'm in kind of this little canyon where the player runs in, so no matter where he walks to, he'll turn and face the place that he's meant to be looking. So useful behavior if you want. Again, a couple of guards kind of milling around the general area, but they do have a specific direction they're looking to guard. So that's the AI system. Obviously on top of the wall, all those archers just have a patrol point in front of them. They're sitting on guarding. The two kings behind them just have 2 patrol points, the same patrol route at the end, which they're told to face forwards, and then they kind of strut back and forth along the top there. But that's it. So really easy to use, and so far as we can think of at current that should be able to do all of the stuff that we are planning to do. So we're really excited to be able to kind of go and build some dungeons with that. Also, just, it's not really in theme of the video, but I will show off another feature really quickly because we put it in yesterday and I think it's awesome. So basically we got a new suite of walls. Shout out, thanks Brad. We got some solid walls, the visuals for them. So I was able to break them all into destructibles, retweaked with the destructible settings. And now we can kind of have the walls that we kind of envisage. So as this barrage of arrows starts coming down, if I put this wall up, they will actually, those arrows are breaking chunks off that wall and they will actually focus fire through it after a time, which is just, I think it's awesome. So you stand at about the same spot, they'll kind of focus fire down that part where you were with that other little bit there, which is actually still standing. And kind of a cool side effect of that actually is, see, the chunks still have collision, they get knocked loose over time, but if you actually kind of butt up against where they are and block them from coming out, like keep running forwards into it, you can kind of brace the wall because I'm stopping it from crumbling backwards and the arrows can't get through until those chunks have actually moved, which is just kind of awesome. I have a very cool feeling here of like desperately trying to hold this thing together as it's being crumbled by all these archers. So yeah, just those walls, really cool. And that's it.